Welcome to Brain Vision.
So this is just kind of a thought problem. So they ask us, during the regeneration process, some steam is extracted from the turbine and is used to heat the liquid water leaving the pump. This does not seem like a smart thing to do, since the extracted steam could produce some more work in the turbine, right? So you're pulling some steam out of the turbine and losing some work by doing that. But you're actually only you can kind of run the numbers. It's really one of those things that is not necessarily intuitive unless you run the numbers. But what you'll find is that you waste just a little bit of work potential, but you save a lot from the heat input. Okay, save a lot on the heat input. So basically, what you can do is that steam, you're going to take a little bit of work out, but you're going to use that steam to heat up the water, and that's going to save you more than the work that you lost from taking it out of the turbine. Now, so you give up a little work to get a lot of heat. It's basically what you're doing. And that means, of course, up to a point, right? You can't, up to a point, you could say, well, I'm just going to bypass the turbine, right? And then you get no work out, but you get a lot of heat. So obviously, at some point, you can't just bypass the turbine. So, when you bleed the the steam out of the turbine, so you got your turbine here. That's a bad turbine. A turbine here, right? And you have the input here. So you bleed some out here, right? And then the rest of it comes out here. Well, if you just bleed everything off here, or if you just bypass the turbine altogether, then you're going to get no workout. So there's a limit. You can't just bleed everything out, because that wouldn't be then basically you're going to lose everything. So again, it's one of those things that you need to in this cycle here, you actually bleed it out and then put it back in. But again, if you just bypass it, then you're not really doing anything, because you're just making a loop with the boiler, and that's not doing anything at all. So again, it's up to a point. You can't just keep. There's a point of how much you can bleed off before you start actually getting. It isn't practical anymore, because you're gonna lose more work than you can get in the heat in. So again, it's a in most cases, in the case you waste a little bit of work potential, but you get a lot of heat, that you don't need to put in. You can drop the heat that you actually need to put into the system quite a bit by using the steam from the turbine to heat, basically to help the boiler heat whatever you're burning to heat the water in the boiler, to help that out. So anyway, again, up to a point though. There's no sense in just bypassing the turbine, because then your efficiency will obviously be zero.